Good morning. Welcome to the worship service of First Unitarian Church of Hobart. My name is John Halstead, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And I participate in the life of the church by serving on the board and the worship committee. We have a few announcements. Thank you to everybody who participated in the rummage sale. We made $1,300. And there are leftovers on the black couch, which we invite you to take to go to Goodwill or the Salvation Army or anywhere else. The RE committee, which was previously scheduled for today, has been postponed. The Racial Justice Task Force is meeting on Sunday, October 31st at 12:30 after this service. There is a Reiki Healing Sanctuary event which will be held here next Sunday, October 24th from 1:30 to 4 p.m. in the church. The cost is $10 for a 10-minute session. And for more information, you can contact Delynn Curtis, who also happens to be our speaker next week. And there is a plant in the parish hall that Sandy invites everybody to take cuttings from. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles, both of which can be found online at uua.org. Together, we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. We're currently in search for a full-time minister, and when we do not have a minister in the pulpit, we invite members or special guests to share a message with us. This is one such Sunday when we're going to hear from our Right Relations team, Craig, Maggie, and Ruth. And we're also going to hear from a guest speaker, Will Akins. Did I say your name right? Okay. He will sing a musical number and postlude duet with Maggie, which if you were here a few minutes ago, you might have just gotten a little taste of. So hope you're as excited as I am. We're currently streaming our services online. However, the joys and sorrows portion of our service is private, and we'll take a break from streaming during that portion of the service for privacy's sake. The sermon will be recorded and available for future viewing on Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you are attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. Due to COVID-19, we ask that all in-person attendees of our Sunday services wear a mask unless they're speaking up here that covers both your nose and your mouth. You can either bring a mask or we'll provide one. And we ask for your consideration of the safety and health of our community. Please take a deep breath now and join us in a spirit of reverence. Please join me in lighting our chalice. The words are printed on the cards in your pews.
This is a poem by Ruth Halstead. It's called Words Are Windows, and under parentheses it goes, or they are walls. I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you mean to say? Before I rise in my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build that wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows, or they're walls. They sentence us, or they set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the light of love shine through me. There are things I need to say, things that mean so much to me. If my words don't make me clear, will you help me to be free? If I seem to put you down, if you felt I didn't care, try to listen through my words to the feelings that we share.
Please remain standing for the affirmation of faith. The words are again printed on on these cards and on the TV screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please remain standing. We are striving to create a worship space which is both spiritual and safe. However, we recognize that not everyone can attend in person, so we extend a special welcome to everyone who is joining us virtually today. Thank you to our tech team for making the live streaming and recording possible. Due to COVID, the greet your neighbor portion of our service is contactless, so please take a moment to greet your neighbor by waving your hands and letting your smile reach beyond your mask. Please be seated. This congregation expresses our greatest joys and our deepest sorrows in community. We believe that a joy shared is magnified and a sorrow shared is diminished. We pause listening to what arises within our hearts. The joys and sorrows portion will not be streamed online, nor will it be a part of the recording, which is made public. Due to COVID, we will not be passing the mic. Please speak loudly when you share your joys and concerns. If you cannot hear a speaker, though, raise your hand and I'll repeat it into the microphone. Again, please be brief and remember to say your name.
Oh, beyond the last mountain, the very last mountain, beyond the last mountain, the very last mountain, beyond the last Zeneca tree, beyond the last woomph bush, the very last woomph bush, there is a vacuous, vacant prairie, the prairie of Prax, and the tale of the Zax.
One day, making tracks in the prairie of Prax, came a north-going Zax, a north-going Zax, and a south-going Zax, a north-going Zax, and a south-going Zax. And it happened that both of them came to a place where they bumped. There they stood, foot to foot, face to face. Look here now, the north-going Zax said. Hey, say, you are blocking my path. You are right in my way. I'm a north-going Zax, and I always go north. Get out of my way now and let me go forth. Who's in whose way? Snapped the south-going Zax. I always go south making south-going tracks. So you're in my way, and I ask you to move and let me go south in my south-going groove. Then the north-going Zax said with north-going pride, I never have taken a step to one side, and I'll prove to you that I won't change my ways if I have to keep standing here 59 days. And I'll prove to you, yelled the south-going Zax, that I can stand here in the prairie of Prax for 59 years. For I live by a rule that I learned as a boy back in south-going school. Never budge, that's my rule. Never budge in the least, not an inch to the west, not an inch to the east. I'll stay here not budging, I can and I will if it makes you and me and the whole world stand still. Well, of course, the world didn't stand still. The world grew. In a couple of years, the new highway came through, and they built it right over those two stubborn Zacks and left them there, standing unbudged in their tracks.
Just hang on to it. Well, I'm going to talk to you today about preparing ourselves to make connections. And you can clearly see the Zacks did not do that. And I'm especially when we're aware that there's differences in an agenda. And so follow me as I argue with myself. And I will tell you that when you argue with yourself, as long as you know it's yourself, you're not crazy. So I'll do this as if there was a emotional self getting ready and an alter ego, the one that speaks to us in a more sensible voice. So here I am reading my favorite magazine. But you know how it is a lot of times, how we get a thought in our head and we're really angry. No matter what we do, it just keeps popping in. And so it just happened. I can't believe he made that statement to deregulate. I can't believe he can't see that his actions are self-serving and that he is a spineless pawn. My better self. Oh God, I'm making moralistic judgments. I just read Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication. I guess it didn't stick. Back to my other self. But I just want him to see that the care of the environment is more important. For God's sakes, the survival of the planet is more important than his portfolio. Uh-oh. I need to shift. Good grief. There I go again. I'm defining his motive. Sorry, Rosenberg. I missed that one too. It's a good magazine, by the way. But how can I make him change and listen? You know, nonviolent communication suggests I listen, but without judging or prescribing his motives. But how can I listen to stupid, let alone self-serving stupidity? I guess I wasn't asking, how can I listen? I was saying, I won't listen. Lose the judging and the prescribing of motive. Find a way to connect. Not like the Zacks. You know, I remember a Sunday school lesson read to me when I was a boy. It was when Jesus asked a tax collector to have dinner and to bring his tax collector friends. That was a pretty big deal because if you know your history, the tax collectors were reviled. They were Jews, but they collected for the Romans and they sent the money to Rome. And not only that, they took a little extra off the top to pad their own portfolio. So, fortunately, this magazine happened to print something. It's from Luke 5:27-31. I think I'll read it. After this, he went out and saw a tax collector named Levi sitting at a tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And leaving everything, he rose and followed him. And Levi made a great feast at his house, and there was a large company of tax collectors, and others reading at a table with them. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled at his disciples, saying, "Why do they eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners?" And Jesus answered them, "Those that are well have no need of a physician, but those that are sick." And obviously, Jesus felt that Matthew, or Levi as it's called here, was sick. Now, so Jesus recognized they were sick, and sick of mind. And you know, what's interesting in these biblical versions, we really don't know what was talked about. I assume there was a lot of wine, a lot of good food, but it went on and on and on. And everybody knew where the other side stood when they came in. Matthew, Levi, and his friends certainly knew that Jesus disapproved of them, and that there was not a similar. So what happened? I doubt if he lectured them, read them the riot act. So what did he do? Well, I suspect what happened is he listened to him as a person worthy of love. Right? You might say to yourself, yeah, well, that's great. That was the Son of God speaking. I'm just me. How am I going to do this? And here you hear a little of my personal philosophy. The Bible says he was the Son of God, but it doesn't say he was the one and only. My belief is that we are all sons and daughters of God. And if we are mindful and careful, we are capable of finding this love to let others know that they are a person as well. Well, can a dinner with the Petro Kings lead them to the doors of the Sierra Club? Probably not, but maybe. But at the very least, they will not see us as faceless people just on the other side. So, prepare yourself. Be self and be alter ego. Listen to the words that are in your heart and find others.
Can you hear me?
You want this?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thanks, Craig. I always appreciate going back to my Christian roots about love. It always comes back to love, and we don't always act lovingly, no matter what our religion, and we need that reminder. I dare say that all of us at one point or time or another have felt uncomfortable while interacting with another person. Is that fair to say? Okay, good. Then I can go on. The tension is normal because no two people are alike, and those differences eventually, if not immediately, will come out. In some cases, we feel threatened, and there is a fight or flight response. But neither of those options, we've heard fight or flight response, right? How many of you have heard that? Yeah. But neither of those options really resonated with me. What I tend to do is freeze. And so you might have heard of fight, flight, or freeze. But there is a less well-known and fourth part that I found in me, and that is appease. So fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And you might all think about how you usually respond to tense situations with somebody. Know yourself a little bit here. I hope John said it was okay if I said this. So John stated that he resonates with the fight or flight. So that's not a good combination, right, for us, with me being freeze or appease. And when I usually have had enough of appeasing, so to speak, him, my resentments build. I don't feel loved or seen, and so my fight comes out in a blaze of glory. And then I fight, and I withdraw sometimes too. And John, in my thoughts is the villain. He's the reason why I'm so unhappy sometimes. I love you, John, by the way. Thanks for being my guinea pig here. But I think we all do this in relationships at times, And so for him, my anger comes out of nowhere, right? But for me, it's been building up and building up and building up. So since this is common in relationships, my talk is about how do we speak up? How do we show up and speak up and not do this freeze or appease or even fight or flight? So I found a better quote or a mantra that helps me respond. It's from Brene Brown's The Power of Vulnerability. I found it on Audible. Brene Brown said, for me this is spiritual, don't puff up, don't shrink down, just stand your sacred ground. Well, what is our sacred ground? Well, first, let me empathize with the puffing up temptation. And so we often feel uncomfortable in interactions. And all of us, I dare say again, all of us, have thought our discomfort comes from the other person or it's their fault. And we can easily go to blaming and verbally insulting and sometimes physically violent at times. Especially if we feel we have held on to this uncomfortable feeling for a while, maybe decades. And so the person that triggers this feeling in us probably has nothing to do with all that we've been harboring. So in order to feel better or lift ourselves up, we think we have to put the other person down. We puff our chest up, we puff up. So, we might get confused with this being standing up for ourselves. But really it's blaming, attacking, which puts someone down and is not. We may do it in our thoughts, even if we don't say anything. So it embraces the win-lose mentality where no one's needs are being met. And next, I want to empathize with the temptation to shrink down, which I believe we all do. We might put ourselves in a less than position to others or in generally or a specific person. And we might think that their needs are more important than ours. And we might think that speaking out creates conflict or creates inconvenience, and we don't want to do that. So we might hear an idea that we don't really agree with, we don't like, makes us feel uncomfortable, but we would feel it would be disrespectful to speak up. And we might hear their anger or accusations at us and just quickly apologize and or stay quiet. So this is more the freeze or appease version, and that's shrinking ourselves down where no one's needs as well is being met in this scenario. So how do we resist the temptation to not puff up or shrink down, but to stand our sacred ground instead? Again, what is our sacred ground? Our sacred ground is what we are feeling, what we need, and what we hope the other person can do to help be the hero in our situation instead of the villain. And giving them an opportunity to be the hero of the situation instead of the villain helps everybody's needs get met. Of course, they get to choose whether they're going to do what we ask or not. That's their choice. But we've at least stood our sacred ground. So this is sacred work because it requires us to just take a minute, take a pause, maybe several minutes, and go inward, introspection, What am I feeling? Until we have enough bravery and the willingness to be vulnerable to bring that to the person that we care about. We will not be perfect at this, I promise. It is hard spiritual work. And John and I struggle every minute of every day, it seems. But we get back on track easier and quicker as we are practicing this. And then that helps us feel connected and heard. And that's what we all need. We need to feel heard. We need to feel seen. We need to feel safe. We need to feel that connected. And that's the goal, and that's the spiritual work. We're human beings. We were made to be social animals. We need each other. And we need ourselves to show up and speak up. Thank you.
I feel honored to be here and to sing this piece for you. It's one of my favorites that I've sang before. It's Make Them Hear You, and it's just really the words of this piece that kind of seem to flow right with you all's service this morning. So I'll just go straight for it then. Go out and tell a story. Let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. How justice was our battle and how justice was denied. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of a pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be there
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me? Thank you, Will. When I first heard Will Aiken sing Make Them Hear You, I was so moved. It resonated so strongly with me that I dared to ask him to come and worship with us at First Unitarian. The lessons of making myself heard as a woman and as an activist, and our work here together for racial justice and gender equity, all just come singing through. So thank you for your message of song. We don't want to accidentally suggest that we advise or advocate violence. Make them hear you. We can't actually make anybody do anything. But we do want to emphasize the importance of speaking out and being heard, whether in an abusive relationship, a casual conversation, or fighting for social justice. As we study the teachings of nonviolent communication, I am reminded that this is all holy work. This is unacceptable. My friend, talking half to me and half to herself, looked me in the eye angrily and said, "Look how much money I've made this year, and I have nothing to show for it." There's so many things I could have said. Don't be so hard on yourself. You've never made so much money. You finally threw that do-nothing boyfriend to the curb. Or I could have reacted, "Oh my God, what happened?" I could give advice. You just need to open a savings account. I could have been sympathetic. "You poor thing. You've had a rough year." I could correct her. "That's not true. That's not true. You put money in your retirement plan." Or console her. "It's not your fault. You're a single mom. You're doing the best you can." None of these thoughts are bad or mean or unkind. But would any of these thoughts, these responses, have helped my friend to feel heard? Do they convey respect or demonstrate empathy? Listening, as we've been talking about this morning, is getting out of our own head, being fully present. Pausing, that little voice up there, she can get really chatty. Evaluating, comparing, judging, not only what's right in front of us, but what I might be thinking about what happened yesterday or last week or last year, or what I'm worried about that's going to happen tomorrow, or feeling we cannot listen if we are thinking. Empathy is a respectful understanding of what others are experiencing. The Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi stated that true empathy requires listening with the whole being, not just hearing, or even hearing and understanding doesn't get the job done. It demands the emptiness of all the faculties. Empathy has long been a core belief of religions around the world. The Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and others, Hinduism and Buddhism, all emphasize kindness and compassion. It's also an instinct that scientists say we humans can learn to cultivate. We've all seen examples of this instinct in fellow creatures. Just go on YouTube, where abandoned baby animals are adopted by a parent of another species. Are you ready, James? I know he has some example. Oh no. I know you've all seen this. The tortoise and the baby hippo, or the sperm whale pod that adopts a deformed dolphin, or a Dalmatian and a lamb. Okay, it's all right. I guess we're not getting it. There are pictures. You can go on YouTube. They melt your heart. We see empathy in mice, birds, thank you, and ants. I know, it's just amazing. Even rats. will have an emotional response when they see other rats in pain. Thank you. That was too enjoyable. Thank you. Back to my conversation. So instead, I took a breath and tried to listen with my spirit, to quiet my thoughts and tune into her pain. I could hear her self-criticism, the excuses. I could sense her profound disappointment. Yet the presence that empathy requires is not easy to maintain. Remember all those thoughts that came into my head? We tend to have this strong urge to give advice or reassurance, or to explain my position, or tell you how I'm feeling. Empathy, on the other hand, requires full focus. We give others the time and space they need to express themselves fully and to feel understood. There is a Buddhist saying, don't just do something, stand there. I gave my friend the time and space she needed, and she seemed to feel understood. I did eventually make a suggestion. What if, I said to her, you were to write down everything you spend for the next 2 weeks? I paused, waiting for her self-criticism. I interrupted her. Without judgment, I said gently, just observe. She seemed to feel heard and supported and ready to take on the assignment. Listening with loving compassion includes self-empathy. Self-empathy makes space for deep and transparent awareness of our own inner needs and experience. Giving ourselves empathy means allowing our emotions to surface. I try to do this for myself with gentle kindness and no judgment. I was indirectly encouraging my friend to do just that, to give herself empathy. The Chinese sages call for us to practice concern for everyone, or Janai, all day and every day. Concern for everybody, including ourselves. Remember, the spirit is shy. May it be so.
I have we're doing the offering, and I have the text on my phone, but I'm having trouble pulling it up for a second. So we've come to the time for the offering, and when the music plays, you are invited to make a monetary offering. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. We have two collections. We have one for the regular operation of the church, which is in the baskets, and then in the cups we have loose change for social change. You can either make a online contribution with the link that's posted, or contribute in person at the church. And for the Faith and Action Committee for the loose cups collection this month is the Northwest Indiana Food Bank.
It's a family giving project.
Oh, it's a family giving project? Okay. Thanks, Cindy. And I would need 2 volunteers for the collections, and I did get it now. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. There's an online link on the screen for both one-time and regular donations. You can contribute in person by putting paper money and loose change in the baskets and cups. Money in the baskets goes to the regular operation of the church. Money in the cups goes to our Faith in Action Committee and a different charity chosen by the committee every month. It's the family giving project this month. Please try not to touch the baskets and cups as our ushers bring them to you. If I could have 2 volunteers then for the cups and baskets. For your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful.
The closing hymn is number 151, I Wish I Knew How. Please stand as you are willing and able.
hear me. Our closing words come from Alanis Morissette's song called Empathy. It's beautiful. There are so many parts that I have hidden and denied and lost. There are so many ways I have cut off my nose and spiked my face. There are so many colors that I still try to hide while I paint. And there are so many tunes that I secretly sing as I wait. And then you come along and invite these parts out of hiding. This invitation is one that I've stopped fighting. Thank you for seeing me. I feel so less lonely. Thank you for getting me. I'm healed by your empathy. There were so many times I thought I'd die not being truly known. There's been so many moments forever lonely in my vocation. But you come along and celebrate each feeling, and there you are, all honor and inquiring. Thank you for seeing me. I feel so less lonely. Thank you for getting me. I'm healed by your empathy. There was a day where the trust that was being asked of me required too much, you see, to accept your generosity and to know myself enough to let you help me. Thank you for seeing me. I feel so less lonely. Thank you for getting me. I'm healed by your empathy. And this is intimacy.
Just one, maybe. Is that okay? Hello? Yeah. Yeah, I kind of need the help. We are going to be singing a song from Wicked, For Good. And this is, that's good. And this is sort of bittersweet. I just met Will this summer. You can see why I invited him to sing for us. And he will be leaving us in a couple of weeks to join the Carnival Cruise Line and share his wonderful gifts. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Oops.
That people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made from what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you,
Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
and just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
I guess we know there is blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a seed dropped by a skybird halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. Because I knew you.
Because I knew you.
Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
I think it's time for coffee hour.